Hello, welcome back to this Career Conversations episode number 28. And well, we have completed successfully 27 episodes thus far, and this is 28th episode, the brand new. Thank you so much for your cooperation and feedback thus far. I hope you are enjoying all my episodes, and likewise, you will do with this episode as well. So, episode number 28, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about something specific, a unique experience. Like all of them, all my episodes have been unique and specific. This happens to be yet another one. In this episode number 28, I'm going to talk about something when your career inclination becomes your choice, or your career inclination ends up as a recommendation, or your career inclination is what you make towards the end of it. Let me explain. You must be wondering, why is this guy saying the same thing in different way? Well, there is a reason. Let me explain this, and that this is how the story goes. Well, in this experience recently, this is one of my experience. Recently, I was talking to one of the parents. Approached me. The mother of a child approached me and said that I'm looking for, my daughter is in finished 11th grade in one of the international curriculums with precisely, we call it as a commerce as a stream, but she had certain subjects, economics and some other subjects as a high level subjects. Now she got into 12th grade. Now the mother was little anxious about about the plan, about the future. What is she going to do after 12th grade? Which college, which university, what course, and all that. That's what drove her to me through some common contact. And she said, can you help? Then we decided that we're going to take this girl through a comprehensive guidance, and then see to that she does a right decision, and then navigates across that path. So that's the background. Now, as I said, this child is having economics as one of the subject as a major, and the child and parent have got a little bit of inclination towards making a career in the field of economics, but they weren't too sure about what are the prospects or possibilities, or is that a right, what could be the other options and all. That's where their curiosity. And here is where I come in, and I've recommended to them, saying that let's take the child through a proper scientific psychometric assessment, where she will be assessed for her personality, ability and interest, and various other parameters which are important for a vocational career choice. And based on which we're going to come up with 4 to 5 different recommendations. And they've agreed. As a first step, she went through the assessment, and we had a detailed discussion. And the following are the 4 or 5 options that came as a recommendation. Number 1 happens to be media and communication as one of the recommendation, with an outline of getting into journalism as a career. Number 2, general management with an outline to human resources or healthcare administration as a possible avenue within the general management. And number 3, law as a career with AI, forensic law kind of futuristic law specializations as one of the career. And the other option is the hotel management, which is more of a hospitality industry. And of course, the last one happened to be the field of economics with doing some expertise in financial, microeconomics, or business economics kind of areas. So these are the 5 different recommendations have come out, based on the assessment. Now, if you closely look at the options, one of the recommendations happens to be in the field of economics, which the child and parent have been inclined in the beginning because of the curiosity of that subject by the child. That made her to choose that as a mainstream subject in her 11th grade. And of course, she's continuing the same economics as a main subject in her 12th grade. And we typically call that she's in part of that commerce stream with maths as an add-on. Right? So now we went through these options, and the next step for the child is basically go through all those 5 options, do the due diligence. Due diligence, when I say that, understand each career, the prospects of each of those careers, what are the possibilities, what is the future of those careers, who are those prominent people who has made big in those careers, and how much are you going to get paid, what is the entry eligibility requirement, how long do you have to pursue your academic path in order for you to become somebody in that field, whether it is media and communication, journalism, whether it is hospitality, general general management, law or economics or psychology, right? Since those were the options. Now she did through the research, and we sat for again a follow-up session after a week or so, and eventually I requested the child to rate all 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this child said, okay, she is going to take off from the list in the very beginning, hospitality management and general management. She wanted to knock them off, and she was left with only 3 options because she had her reasons. I'm not going to go into the details. She had her reasons. Now she left with 3 options. 1 is psychology, 2 media and communication, 3 economics. These are the 3 areas that she's going to stick to. Now I further asked her, what is the priority of those? Without any doubt, she said economics is a top priority, number 2 is psychology, and number 3 is media and communication. Fair enough. Then the next step is ideally to narrow down what is that you want to become in the field of economics. Now she said she wanted to become a policy maker, an economic advisor or economic policy maker. That is a kind of role that she foresee for herself. That is where she want to get to, and that is her aspiration. That is where we kind of concluded the second, the follow-up session with the child, and with a task on hand to see what all academic journey that you have to do. What are the courses that you have to do after your 12th, after your undergraduation? Does it require a PhD? And all that we talked, and which college, which university is offering these courses, and what are the possible undergraduate courses within India, outside India, and what is the eligibility and entry requirement. So with all that information captured, we're going to put down the milestones from now to 12 to 18 months by the time you get into your college. So that's how you're going to take your path. Of course, you've fixed your destination. You want to become an economic policy maker or an advisor in a designated role. That's what you are aspiring to. Now this is when, the parent was all through with the child and the conversation. This is when the parent chimed in and said, so nothing changed, is it? Is what she said. Now when she said nothing changed, she explained saying that, we know that she had economics as a major in her 11th and 12th grade, and she was inclined, even I was okay with it. Now, after doing so much of exercise, now it is getting concluded or narrowed down to economics again. Now you understand what I'm saying, or what the parent is coming, where the parent is coming from. The point here is there could be a thought process, there could be a thought in your mind thinking, which says that, okay, I knew what my inclination was, but after the exhaustive career guidance or the counseling sessions, multiple sessions, we are finally picking that as a choice, picking that option as a choice which we are inclined in the beginning. So what is a value add that the career guidance or a mentor or a counselor has done over the 2-3 sessions? So this is what is a thought that goes through the parent's mind, and I'm sure not this parent, many parents would think through this, right? Because I knew there seems to be no much value add by going through this process, because we ended up choosing the same thing what we inclined in the beginning. But let me remind you, my friends, whether you're a student, parent, or a counselor, mentor, you're watching this series or listening to my podcast, please let me remind this. Don't make random choices. Inclinations not always suit you. Your inclination may be based on your academic interest in that subject. Because I'm let's say somebody is curious in learning psychology. That does not mean that psychology as a career would suit me, to my personality, to my abilities. That is very crucial. So the career guidance mechanism that you undertake should take you through the process of doing a proper scientific assessment, a psychometric assessment, and then do the due diligence, do research about the recommendations, and then you make a choice, one over the other. It is okay even if you what you inclined in the beginning is ending up as a recommendation or as a shortlisted choice, which is fine, but it doesn't happen all the time. It may happen at a randomly, some 25-30% of the times. There is a possibility that your inclination matches to your recommendation. Your inclination ends up as your choice, but not all the time. There are 60 to 70% more scenarios where it doesn't happen. What if that specific career, that aspiration is not in the best of your personality or ability or your interest? Just because you're curious about your that academic subject, does that mean that you're going to make that as a career? No, it is not going to yield you good result. So please realize that if you are choosing a right career guidance mechanism, which includes taking you through the psychometric assessment, which covers your personality, ability, and interest, and then coming up with the shortlisted options of 4 or 5 or even more, a handful of them, and then the child do the research, do the due diligence to each one of them, and then make a choice. My friends, I always say that this will help you make an informed career decision, both parent and child. And as a possibility, you can use one of them as your backup career, provided you have made sure that the academic path is aligned. That's very important. So on the face of it, it may appear that your inclination is ending up as your recommendation, or as your what you choose at the end of it, which is okay. But if you are making that as a random, then that's a question. If you are going through a certain process of few sessions, few days or few hours of exercise that you are making, you are going through all that, and then it's a valid and it's a valuable guidance, my friends. Please don't get into the trap, or don't get into the myth of I know what I incline, so I choose based on my inclination, which is fine, but it is not fully comprehensively covered. All the parameters are not taken into account, like your personality, ability, interest, your research. You are not informed. You're just making a career choice based on your inclination or somebody else's preference or somebody else's recommendation. Remember, always, both the parent and child together have to make these career decisions by going through certain process, not just on the fly, not just overnight. It has to go through as a process. Exploration is very key here. So thank you so much for listening to me on this episode, and I hope this was useful to you, and this contributes, this adds value to your thought process whenever you get stuck thinking that, I incline towards something, even the career counselor recommended the same thing. Some of them may feel happy because it is a validation for them, but some may think that they expect something else, but it may not happen that way. So there is a vice versa. There are both the scenarios. The idea is not to point or, criticize any thought process. The idea is to see what is an appropriate, optimum way of doing things. Go through the proper guidance, a proper structured guidance, not somebody who's giving you a random advice or a random recommendation. Well, thank you. On that note, we're going to conclude this episode number 28, inclination versus your career choice, your career inclination versus career choice. Thank you so much for listening and watching this series thus far, and I'm going to come back soon with yet another episode, interesting episode. Until then, take care. Thank you.